All right, so today I wanted to talk about this tweet I seen from TommyBoy21M on Twitter, or Cooligan Fields. Bitcoin is no founder. Bitcoin is no ruling foundation. And this is in regards to Bitcoin versus basically every single other crypto, all the altcoins. And, you know, there's always this running debate within the crypto space that, you know, oh, Bitcoin versus this altcoin or that altcoin. And this is what I've talked about time and time again, that people from outside the crypto space, whenever they label crypto as in they're one and of the same, you can tell immediately that they have no idea what they're talking about, right? Like there's a investing podcast that I listen to, and the guys on there always do this, right? They always do this, which again, it's just a confession that they really don't know what they're talking about. And I think a big problem too is a lot of these finance guys, again, they know their stocks, they know their bonds, they know that stuff like the back of their hand, but they don't have a clue what they're talking about when it comes to crypto, but they're supposed to know because, they're a financial advisor, right? Or they're a hedge fund guy, because they're supposed to know, but they don't. And this is the big problem with a lot of people, is that, again, they think they know a lot more than what they're talking about when it comes to a lot of these issues. Especially you run into a big issue when you have people that, like, you think they would know, right? If you have an economics degree, if you're a financial advisor, if you're a hedge fund guy, you probably should know, but the vast majority of people don't. So, again, just a little caveat that it's just a confession that people really don't know what they're talking about when they lump crypto as being one big thing. And a lot of them would acknowledge it, but even if they do acknowledge it, the reality behind it is that within the crypto space, this is one of the most highly discussed things. One of the most controversial things within the crypto space is the difference between the coins, right? I mean, the hardcore Bitcoin people, which I'm largely in agreement with, again, to them, the vast majority of coins are worthless. They could not be more different, right? The privacy coin people, again, the other coins, they could not be more different. And then there's the in my opinion, the get rich quick, pump and dump kind of people that want to just jump on these low market cap altcoins to make a quick buck. And then there's the people that the DeFi, or I think they to a degree fit the get rich quick kind of people. They're the XRP fans, the Solana fans, Cardano, Ethereum even to a degree. And that, getting into the main point here, I will get into, and then I'll elaborate a little bit more. So again, Bitcoin is no founder. Bitcoin is no ruling foundation. Bitcoin is no pre-mine. Bitcoin is no insiders, no initial investors, no office, no websites, no paid executive team, no marketing team, no development team, no starting price, no human controlling it. Again, the fairest money on earth. So this is what separates Bitcoin from 99.999% of altcoins, because I'm sure there's one or two exceptions out there, in that, again, for starters, let's just go over the list, like just to be brief here. Ethereum, again, had a pre-mine, has a foundation that I mean, when you look at Joe Lubin and stuff, again, controls it to a degree, has people to go after. Again, this is an easy way to tell if your coin is garbage. Like, this is one of the easiest ways, is there someone or a company or corporation that the government could go after? If there is, you want to avoid it like the plague. And the vast majority of these have that. Again, Ethereum has that. Solana has that. Cardano, XRP, the list goes on and on and on. If there's a corporation or an individual that the government can go after, they almost certainly will. And this completely debunks the whole, oh my God, the government's going to regulate Bitcoin argument, because the government, the SEC, isn't even regulating, at least where we stand right now. This probably will change at some point. I hate to break it to a lot of people, but it probably will change at some point. The government is not even regulating XRP, which is like the epitome of a centralized coin. They're not even regulating that. A coin that has several individuals directly involved with it, a corporation which is planning on going public, which literally is completely, like, it could not be a better description of a security if they go public. And again, I know XRP and Ripple aren't the same thing. It doesn't matter. The definition is very, very clear on this. Right? Very clear on this. If XRP goes, if Ripple goes public, they could not fit the definition of a security better. It would perfectly fit the definition. And yet the government still isn't regulating them. So if they're not regulating an almost perfect example of a security, why would they? How could they conceivably regulate Bitcoin? Right? So again, like, people who make these arguments, again, like, I don't even have words for these people. Right? So this is what separates Bitcoin, right? This is really what separates it. And again, when you look at a lot of the criticisms, again, they're largely FUD. I mean, the privacy people would say, oh my God, it's surveillance, but it's like, okay, well, not if you know what you're doing. You can use it privately. Okay, and you can't buy anything with it. Well, again, the same thing goes for all the other coins. And number two, you kind of can buy stuff with it. I mean, you have more and more ways of buying stuff with it than ever. Right? I mean, in Canada, I know through Bull Bitcoin now, I'm pretty sure you can even sell property and get paid out in Bitcoin. Right? With ShakePay, you can buy stuff and get paid with Bitcoin. Right? So again, we're still in the early processes of this. I mean, the internet was invented in what, like the 80s? And no one would, like, imagine looking at the internet in, 1995 or even 2000 compared to today. Right? I mean, they're different universes. I mean, smartphones weren't even around back then. Right? So, again, Bitcoin's been around for not even a decade and a half. 2010s were 13, 14 years. And yet people are like, oh my God, it's not literally perfect. Right? I mean, look at how much work is being done on the Lightning Network. This whole, oh my God, you can't buy a coffee with it, therefore it's worthless. It's like, you kind of can. And even if you can't, it's not really the main point, right? And again, people who debate in good faith, they'll always deal with the best arguments, right? If you've ever heard of the term steel man, you'll deal with that, right? And what I mean by that is the main arguments for Bitcoin is, in my opinion, a hedge against inflation and a hedge against the existing system. And as far as I'm concerned, they're doing about as good of a job on that as they possibly can. Right? I mean, you can get a Lightning Network, a Lightning wallet, or even a wallet that has no KYC. Like, it's not that hard to transact privately. You can hold your own keys, right? And not only that, I mean, it's up 140, at least in Canadian dollars, it's up 140%. I checked yesterday, so it might be a little bit different, but 140% over the last year. And like 700% over the last 5 years. So again, has it done its job when it comes to a hedge against inflation? Like, yeah, it has. But again, I think the most important and the best argument for owning Bitcoin is a hedge against the system or a hedge against central bankers and the existing banking system. I think that is the number one reason to hold it. Right? So again, that's just my opinion. Again, I'd love to hear other people's opinion. But again, when it comes to Bitcoin, this is the last thing I'll leave it on here, is that, again, the vast majority of altcoins are not worth anything. Right? Again, because they're just different versions of the existing financial system. again, they can. Oh my God, we do more transactions per second. Well, it's like, okay, well, you don't even provide final settlement, and on top of that, you're a centralized coin. So again, when you don't provide final settlement, and you're centralized, you're just a slightly different version of Visa or the existing system, right? So again, when people compare Bitcoin to Visa or Solana, you name it, you're not comparing apples to apples, because these vast majority of altcoins, Visa, MasterCard, they don't provide final settlement, and they're centralized, right? Visa can censor you. Ethereum, again, I highly doubt it, but if they wanted to, they could. Bitcoin cannot be censored, and it provides final settlements. Again, we're not comparing apples to apples. So again, when it comes to Bitcoin versus altcoins, it's like, it depends what your goal is. If you want some quick, get rich quick pump and dump, okay, well, by all means, go gamble on altcoins. But if you're in it for the philosophy of, number one, a long-term hedge against inflation, and number two, a hedge against the existing system, Bitcoin's what you go with, right? And there's no real debate against that, in my opinion, right? So again, like I said, I just wanted to point this out because, again, if you look at the vast majority of altcoins, like I say, 99.9% of them, one of these things, at least one of them, applies. And if your altcoin, if one of these things applies, then you don't have a crypto. I mean, on paper you do, right? Again, people talk about blockchain technology all the time, but blockchain technology is worthless if it doesn't come with a decentralized, if it's not decentralized. Because if it's highly centralized, you're just recreating the existing system and making it slightly different, right? So again, you look at all, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, XRP. They all had a founder, or at least in some way, shape, or form. Look at Ripple. They have a foundation, right? Virtually all of them had pre-mines. They have insiders. They have investors. They have offices. Right? They have executive teams. Like, if your coin has a CEO, like, and again, this stuff is just so simple to figure out, right? And I mean, another thing a lot of these people bring up is like, oh my God, it'll pump 100% in a week or two, and they'll be like, oh my God, you like Solana. There's some of these people lately. It's like, oh yeah, you guys, you're so stupid. You didn't invest in Solana. Look at all this money I made. And it's like, okay, well, show us your entire history, because you're probably still down. I mean, Solana still is nowhere close to their all-time highs. It's still down, I think, over 50%, right? So again, it's just a simple rule of thumb. If your coin has any individual or any corporation the government can go after, you want to avoid it. It's just that simple, right? So anyway, I will leave it there. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.